Tell me a bit about your life before music. What was it like where you grew up?
Grew up in a place called Bolton, which is it's a working class town. I would say young life was very. So it was a bit of a weird one with me. Like I spent a lot of time outdoors. Like I don't want to say street life because I think that's a little bit too like. I'm not like a gangster or anything, but yeah, I spent a lot of time like out with friends on the streets and stuff. So yeah, it was a good childhood actually. I think it was when I turned 16. That's when I had a real interest in music. That's when music for me was like, this is something that I want to do. It was when I picked up a guitar actually. I picked up a guitar at 16, and I was like, I'm going to teach myself. And then for the next 4 years. Taught myself how to play, and then I auditioned for the band, and that was kind of where everything fell into place.
So being from Bolton, your surroundings would have been a bit different, so do you actually believe you could make it in music at the time you started to pick up the guitar?
Yes and no. Like, I do believe that I had a point where I goes, I'm gonna do music. I don't know. I didn't know at the time how it would develop. I was playing, local pubs and like just me rocking with an acoustic, and I loved it, but I never knew how to get from A to B. And I think that is a lot of people's problem these days. I think with record labels, especially nowadays, back in the earlier days, in the 80s, the 90s, even 2000s, record labels would go out of the way to find new music and find new acts. And these days, they don't want that. They want the product ready to be signed and making money. And that is I think that is a major, major stumbling block in music these days. Is that back in the day, even I'm a massive fans of Oasis and like Stereophonics and all them kind of bands. They were discovered at like live shows. That doesn't really happen that much anymore. Especially in pop music. Pop music is you have a manager, your manager takes you into a label and be like, well, this is a product, can you make money off this product? Which I don't think is the right way of doing it, to be honest with you. Even though it is pop music, I still don't think it's the right way to do it.
It's almost like the A&Rs now live by social media validation. Like, do you have the numbers?
Totally, 100%.
It takes a bit away from the actual art of actually developing your...
100%. And I watched an interview with Adele the other day, actually, and she said, the artist is always right, and I believe that I was always right. And no one who's sat behind a desk in a record label is going to tell me as an artist that I'm wrong and what my creative choices are wrong, because I'm the artist, I'm the musician, and I know over someone who sits behind a desk, which I agree with, and I think it takes a lot to say, you know what, I'm the artist and this is what I want to do. When you're in pop music, it's different. When I was in the band, you're a product, you're a machine at the end of the day, which we all knew and we all accepted. You're a boy band, you go out, you work, you're doing this today, you're doing that today, you're doing a sign-in here, you're doing a sign-in there, which is cool. It's kind of what you sign up for when you're in that kind of industry, and I loved it. Like, I loved it for the whole duration. But I think now when you step away from it and you go, I'm not in a boy band anymore. I'm now an individual. It's been nice to take a step back, evaluate what happened, how it happened, who was in control, and then go, this is what I want to do now. This is what I want to do moving forward, and I want to take some control back, of the artistry, essentially, because I think it should be down to the artist about the direction and where they want to go as an artist.
Can I ask you about, in terms of, when people get to that peak of fame, what changes around in terms of friends? Because I've always feel that there seems to be like a sense of entitlement, like, okay, well, Tom must be a billionaire, buy me this, buy me that.
Yeah.
Start to see how people will change towards the actual success.
Yeah, even as much as family. Like, close family that you've grown up with.
Is it really that deep? Because I hear that.
It's deep. It does go that deep. Like, I remember when I first went back after All Time Low broke and the album went top 5, and I went back home, I think, for Christmas that year, and the family, and it's not their fault, you know, because they are seeing you in a different light now, you know. They know me as Tom, the kid from Bolton, and now they're seeing you on TV, and your little nephews and nieces are seeing you on TV. And I remember going back and they were talking like I was different, you know, like a completely different person. And like I said, it wasn't their fault. It's not their fault, because it's hard. I think it's hard for people to adjust to what you are now in your life. And I think we all our family, you know, we all come from a very, very working class background, you know. And when someone gets to a certain level of fame, like you were saying, it's like, whoa. I think it's very unsettling. It's very unnerving for people around you. So I think that people, you know, naturally react differently. For me, no one came. You see people come out of the woodwork all the time. Like you see, oh, can we be friends? Can we do this? But I'd say the most revealing point of being at the top of the industry is the people that surround you at that point. And then when you're not at the top, and when you're, you know, The Wanted had a massive success, and then we decided to take a break. But then for me, you know, it's starting from the bottom and laying the foundations and working back up again. And when you're at the bottom, you know, and that's where I want to be and that's where I need to be, you don't see no one around you. You know, you don't see the people that were around you for that whole time that you were at the top. They're nowhere to be seen. So yeah, that was a really revealing point, I think. I think for any new artist coming up, I would say just be aware of the people that you surround yourself with.
But in that moment, how did you react to that? How did you start to feel the changes?
You just get on with it. It's a weird one. You don't really think about it. I think it's until afterwards that you go, that happened. You know, when you start to take a step back and reevaluate what went on in that 5-year period, that's when you go, wait a minute, did that happen? Did these people surround themselves just because I was who I was, and then everyone kind of, you know, vanished? So yeah, I think it was afterwards. During it, especially when you're in pop music, it's different when you're in, you know, if you're in a band, you're in an indie band, or you're in grime, or you're in dance music. I think it's a little bit different, because even though you have that commercial success, you know, and you cross from underground to commercial, I think you still have control as an artist. I think when you're in pop music, it's very, very, the artist's control is very limited, and you almost become engrossed in it as being in a band. You're just like, I'm doing this today, I'm doing that. You just no time to stop. There's no time to even think about anything. You know, for that 5 years, yeah, we got little bits of pockets here, you know, here and there to have time off, but it was bombarded with just content, like you're doing this, you're doing that, album, single, video, you go into this country, you go into that country. It was intense, so intense.
What does the calendar look like? Because I've seen some artist calendars, and like literally they've been told for the next nearly 18 months what they're going to do.
Yeah, it is like that, it really is. Because if you think about it, it's for 3, like let's say 2 months, especially more so in pop music, you got a very limited window to write an album. If you write, The Wanted, we got involved with the writing process heavily. So during that period, it's like you have 2 months to write an album. And you're like, that isn't a long time. But for them, it's just like, we're making this album. So then you have that period, and then you have, right, you pick the singles, then you have single 1, single 2, album, single 3, you know, tour. It's very, very work heavy. Like the amount of work that's involved in it, it's just non-stop. I mean, I'm sure it is for, you know, genres across music, but I think in different genres other than pop, I think you have a lot more control and a lot more say about what you want to do. You know what I mean? Which is nice.
So it felt then, it almost felt like it was more like a job.
100%. Yeah, and it got to the point, I think the last year or two was just got to the point where I was just like, I think I'm bored. And I never, ever wanted to get to that point, because I loved being in the band, loved being in The Wanted. You know, I think The Wanted was I think we established a really, really great brand as boy bands go. I think we we broke the mould of what a boy band should be. And I think we were the catalysts of that, to be honest with you. I think we actually started something new. You know, we were the first boy band not to dance. We were the first boy band that, you know, we weren't clean. We would come out of clubs, we would come out of pubs, and I think it was raw, and I think it was refreshing for people to see. But at the same time, it got to the point 4 years in where we was just like, it's very repetitive, very samey. Yeah, and I think it when we decided that we were going to take that hiatus, I think it was the right time, and I think it was definitely needed for us as individuals, just to be like, listen, let's go and just have a bit of time for ourselves.